All right. So I'm a gamer. It's a aspect of my life that's been there for decades. I have been playing tabletop role playing games for more than 30 years. I have worked in the computer game industry. I play computer games, video games. I like card games, board games. For a while there, I actually was not a big fan of board games, and then it's like a switch got turned, and then huge fan of board games. I'm not sure why that is, but yeah, board games. I play games on tablets. I play games on consoles. I like games. I'm a big fan. So that's going to be something I talk about a lot. And that's what this particular episode is about. I'm going to go ahead and start talking first about the sort of broad games that I like. As far as computer games and video games go, I'm a big fan of story. I love a good story. I love games that a lot of the action rides on the strength of the story. Now, a friend of mine, many years ago, pointed out that we use the movie paradigm when talking about video game storytelling. That it's cinema, cinema-like. It's not quite cinematography, but a lot of the tropes of movies are used in video games. The problem is a lot of the sort of movie storytelling that we do in video games basically boils down to either horror movies or action movies. There's not a Schindler's List for video games. There's no storytelling that is not in some way related to action or intrigue or terror. Which is interesting. I don't know if anybody will ever do good story in games that doesn't involve those things. I think it may be a limitation of the medium, but you never know. I think that there's an artistic space there where you can. Now, the space gets a little broader when you look at role-playing games. I have seen games that were written to reflect the realities of slavery in pre-Civil War South. This is a touchy subject, not exactly, one designed to be an action hero game, but a game to deal with some emotional realities. There are other games along those lines where the action of the game is not necessarily action. And I find those fascinating. They are not always fun to play. I used to refer to Wraith as the greatest game that nobody would play because it's unrelentingly depressing. You're not very heroic in Wraith back in that day. It's about dealing with grief and dealing with loss and resolving issues with your life now that you're dead. So, maybe not the most friendly game around, but it was deeply compelling in a lot of ways too. And I find things like that interesting. I like playing in them, but I realize that a lot of my friends don't like playing in them. I still like playing D&D. I still like playing MMOs. Mainly these days I've been sticking to the free-to-play MMOs because broke, very broke, oh so broke. I'm doing the job hunting thing, so I don't have a lot of time and money to get new games or play new games. But I try to get something in here and there, and whenever there's a free-to-play MMO, I'll give them a shot. And I have thoughts on those that I'll probably go in more depth on later. I don't dig the sort of snobbish way that some people deal with games. I think that there are a lot of people who will tell you that this game is worthless because the systems are not optimal or not to their taste, and therefore the game is terrible. Not really along those lines. Uh, there are some people who will tell you that computer games are a cheat, that real gamers don't do that, or there'll be those who say that the new games with the narrative style to them are not as good as the old school games, and vice versa. The people who play the new games will say, well, the old school games are worthless and there's no value. I like all games for the most part. I could think of a few games that are just terrible, and it has nothing to do with their rules. But generally speaking, if it's a game, I think it's worth giving it a shot. So, no judgment here. This is not to say I won't occasionally analyze a game or review a game. In fact, I enjoy doing that. But I'm not the sort of gamer who gets snobbish about it. You know what? Some people enjoy the LARPing. I like LARPing. Some LARPs are more sport-like. It's all about the combat. Other LARPs are the opposite end of the spectrum. They're all about the story and not much combat or even conflict mechanisms involved. And I think they're all very interesting and fun for people. I'm not going to tell people, oh, you're not going to have fun doing that. Obviously, some people have fun doing that. Whichever version you've played. I've played a wide range of them, and I've had fun doing all of it. I think that role-playing games, you get the same sort of thing. You have some people who like the old school, the old school Renaissance D&D clones that are out there. You find some people who like 4th edition. There's a whole range of games out there. Pathfinder, they're all interesting, and I think they all have value, and they all have a good time to be found in them. I played D&D when I was 9, and that was 30 years ago, and there wasn't a 2nd edition yet. I have played the box sets. I've played AD&D, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 3.5, Pathfinder, 4th edition, and I had fun playing all of them. They all had value. So when I start talking about games in a critical light, don't think for an instant that I don't think the games, that I have a bias against any particular kind of game. I think they're all cool. And I think when it comes down to it, each and every one of them has something about them that's fun. Otherwise, people wouldn't keep playing them. Even probably something that is fun even for the terrible games, the games I actually think are awful. And there aren't many, and I may talk about them at some point, but I feel like being negative is maybe not productive. I'd like to be critical about some things I actually like and enjoy, and want to talk about why I like and enjoy them. If that makes sense? Anyway, this is my first episode talking about games, and I wanted to sort of set up a framework for how I talk about games and what I think about when I start thinking about what makes a game work and what doesn't make it work. So, if you think there's a game I should talk about, go ahead and put a comment. Otherwise, I'm going to pick, some game I've given a lot of thought about lately. Maybe Fate, maybe Drama System, maybe the Pathfinder, something like that. I haven't decided yet. And I will sort of review some of my ideas there. That's what I'm thinking. You know, you can tune in or not. You know, not gonna judge. Very non-judgy here. No judgy. Just yeah. So yeah, I'm talking like a crazy person. I have still yet to master this whole ending thing. I need to come up with a better way to end things. Oh well. Till next time, this is Jeremiah. Have a good time.